please unmute yourself when called to speak. Again, pressing star 6. It is very important for all others to please remain muted. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here this morning, and our call is growing as we speak. Let's start with the Commissioner's roll call. Commissioner Bell.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. And Commissioner Scar.
Good morning, I am here, but I will let everyone know I'll be jumping off probably around 8:30 for another meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that very much. So let's get right to it, and let's talk with Adventist Health. Eric Swanson. Eric, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioner. We have 11 patients in the hospital this morning. Happy to report no COVID patients and no patients boarding in the emergency department. 11 surgery cases scheduled today. All are elective or non-urgent, so they've got a busy day. Yesterday, ambulance did 8 911 transports and 2 transfers. The number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19 across Oregon this morning is 304, 38 fewer than yesterday. There are 52 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit beds, 12 fewer than yesterday. 34 of those are on ventilators, and there's 873 ventilators available in Oregon today. There are 106 available adult ICU beds out of 667 total. That's 16% availability for the state. In Region 1, we have 45 available, which is 13% availability. And there's 439 available adult non-ICU beds out of 4,297 in the state, which is 10% availability. In the region, we're at 4% availability, or 84 beds. The March 3 OHSU COVID forecast by Dr. Draven shows that on March 3rd, there were 404 patients in Oregon hospitals, a drop of more than 120 from the week before. As of the 3rd, we also had 12% of occupied ICU beds are filled with COVID patients, and that's down from 19% the previous week. And all Oregon regions are showing significant decline in hospitalization. So, again, all good news on the hospitalization front. So, unless you have questions, I'll go back on mute.
Thank you so much, Eric, for that report. Things are moving in the right direction, I see, which is terrific. Do we have any questions for Eric Swanson? Eric, again, we thank you for your time this morning.
You're very welcome.
So let's move on to the Coastal Caucus. This should be a fun report. Hopefully everyone is online with us. So who to start the Coastal Caucus?
Boy, they're not jumping up for you, are they, David?
They're not.
Senator Armitage, are you with us? How about Senator Anderson? Representative Weber, are you with us this morning? Well, goodness, commissioners,
wow.
I guess after 32 intense days of short session, everybody's sleeping in this morning. So I'll give you a report and try to take your questions. And goodness, if anybody's out there fumbling with their mute button, feel free to jump in at any time. I had expected to let everybody else take the lead and kind of back cleanup. Of course, this is David Gomberg, State Representative from House District 10. And yes, on Friday, we brought the gavel down to adjourn the short legislative session for 2022, actually 3 days ahead of the constitutional deadline. But I think the real news here is not simply that we finished a couple of days early, but that we finished it all, and finished in a respectful and a cooperative way. We didn't always agree on everything, but the session was not disagreeable. I draw a contrast between this year and 2 years ago in the last short session, where disagreements between the Democrats and the Republicans resulted in a walkout that brought the session to a premature close, and virtually nothing got done. Because of the time frames, no bills had gotten to the finish line yet when the walkout occurred, and the session simply collapsed. This time, a lot got done. An awful lot got done, and I would say that the focus was on the money, particularly the one-time money coming to us from the federal government, which was allocated to address Oregon's most pressing needs, housing and homelessness, job training, to strengthen our schools and to build infrastructure. I think I reported to you last week that the Speaker of the House had asked me to join a small work group dealing with rural infrastructure needs. And because most of our rural communities are represented by Republicans, he appointed 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. That's pretty unique in a situation where a Democratic speaker asks a group of Republicans to come up with spending plans for $100 million in rural infrastructure. That process worked itself out, I thought, very, very well. At no point did anybody sit down and say, well, that's a Democratic district or that's a Republican district. They made their spending decisions based on where the need was and what the greatest result would be for those communities and for Oregon as a whole. And you've heard me talk about the fact that small communities are often being faced with really expensive needs to replace infrastructure like water and sewer. And when a town of 2,000 has suddenly a $2 million expense to replace their water system, that's going to come to like $1,000 for every man, woman, child, dog, and cat in the town. Infrastructure is a quality of life issue, but it's also a cost of living issue. So having the state step up and build water systems in Mill City and in Malton and in Waldport and in Falls City and on and on and on around the state, those are going to be life-changing, transformational investments. On the policy front, I will tell you that there were bills that passed and there were bills that did not pass. Most of my mail was regarding bills that did not pass, telling me to vote against a bill that really, in many cases, never got out of the starting block. For example, the proposal for a sales tax on luxury goods in Oregon never even got a hearing, but on the very last day of session, I was still getting mail saying, don't support a sales tax in Oregon. Well, we did not support a sales tax in Oregon. Self-service gasoline, very interesting conversation. And of course, in Tillamook County, we're one of a handful of counties allowed to do self-service after hours to make sure that that service is available. But instituting self-service gasoline across the state did not get to the finish line. That bill did not pass. Another bill that did not pass that I got a lot of mail about had to do with legislative pay. You know, legislators get about $30,000 a year. Quite honestly, for the full-time job I'm doing, I could make more money working at a fast food restaurant right now. But there was talk about increasing legislative pay. I'm glad that the measure did not move forward. It's an important conversation, but at the end of the day, I don't think the legislature should be the ones to decide to increase their own pay. It should either be referred to the Oregon voters or have a special commission of non-legislators come up with a plan, not to allow people to boost their own pay. So what did pass? The big issues...
I'll call you in a bit. I'm on a meeting.
The big issues, as I indicated, were the investments that we made in workforce, in housing, in education, and in broadband. But on the policy front, I think Tillamook County is going to be most interested in 2 big issues. One of them has to do with the compensation that we pay farm workers and whether or not they should be eligible for overtime. Most other industries are paying overtime when you work over 40 hours a week. There was a proposal to pay farm workers overtime. I will tell you that it was my sense that on the first day of the session there were enough votes to pass that measure, but to the credit of the leadership, they kept negotiating it, making adjustments, making amendments until the very end of the session. The bill did pass, but it passed with some accommodations that would not implement this overnight, but rather roll it out slowly, provide some compensation to small farmers for the increased expense, and significantly for Tillamook County included some carve-outs, some exceptions for dairy farmers. So while people may not be happy with the outcome, please know that it was a better bill at the end of session than it was at the beginning of the session. The other big bill I wanted to reference was the Forestry Accord, which was a set of compromises on the forest practices that were worked out over the last year by groups that honestly have been fighting with each other for the last dozen years. And our Forest Practice Act has not been adjusted for nearly 50 years. So a series of new rules were implemented dealing with setbacks and spraying, but also preserving jobs in the forest. Again, not everybody happy with the compromises. I think that's the nature of compromise, is that nobody will lose everything, but not everybody will get everything either. So that bill passed. I'm going to pause at this point because it sounds like Representative Weber came online, and I don't want to steal all the thunder, but I'll say again, the 5-week session felt like it was about 5 months long. A lot got done. I think a lot that's going to be good for Oregon, and I'm also pleased that the Democrats and Republicans in the building were able to really kind of turn the page and begin to work together again. That's the way it ought to be, and I'm pleased with what we were able to accomplish. So, is anybody else here to join me from the Coastal Caucus?
I am. Suzanne's here, and I apologize. I was not on mute when the phone rang. I'm sorry. I thought I was. I want to say good morning. It's nice to be back in the district, and I want to echo everything that Rep. Gomberg relayed to you. He has covered everything very well. I was not able to be on at the very beginning, and so I hope, Rep. Gomberg, that you also highlighted the Highway 6 bill. So we will start working on putting together a plan of what exactly is needed for that highway construction. And unfortunately, the ambulances and all of the emergency folks went up Highway 6 again this morning, which makes me worried because we still have no end of problems up there. But I also want to say that spring vacation is coming, and we're going to have additional people on the highway because people are going to be coming to the beach. And so give them a little latitude. And if you're on the highway, remember that they're visitors, and they've probably never been on that road before, and they don't understand it. And so, like I said, give them a little latitude as they travel to the coast. The other thing that I was able to work with the Democrats, Representative Nathanson, on putting together and getting a bill passed that would assess all of the testing, standardized testing specifically, that's going on in the state, and how much it's costing the school districts, what are the outcomes, what is being done with the test results, and are we in fact taking classroom time, learning time away from our kids while we are busy testing. Otherwise, good to be home, good to have another cup of coffee this morning quietly in the house. But know that I've already started taking calls from constituents, and that's why I was late this morning, because as Rep. Gomberg said, people are not understanding that the session is over, and we are not voting on bills at this time, but they still have requests for things that they are hearing about. So thank you again for the opportunity to be able to report to you, and thank you, Rep. Gomberg, for all that you relayed to the community.
So thank you to both of you this morning. Do we have either Senator Anderson or Senator Armitage? Have either of you joined? So sorry that they cannot be with us this morning. Representative Weber, just so you know, I did meet with Betsy Emery, Senator Merkley's aide here on the coast, yesterday, and one of the many conversations we had was about Highway 6, and she mentioned how she drives Highway 6 all the time and how horrible it is getting and how dangerous it is. So even at the federal level, I mean, things are. People are aware that Highway 6 is a problem.
Yes, and can I add one other issue, item to the discussion? When Rep. Gomberg was talking about all of the money that the state is awash in at the present time, I was very fortunate to be able to bring home a couple of projects also. And all these projects were submitted in January so that they could be given full consideration. And luck, as the luck would have it, they were also funded. And Garibaldi had 2 projects related to their infrastructure that were able to be funded with their water. And I was also able, with Rep. Gomberg's help, to get an additional money for Astoria to put in a heavy-duty lift so that they can start repairing these big boats that are out in the ocean, and it should provide about 250 jobs for the coast immediately. And then with Senator Armitage's help, we were also able to get $2 million for the Columbia County Courthouse. And so there were some successes on the North Coast, and I'll be looking for more projects. So thank you for letting me add that.
I'm going to jump in here because District 32 did really well this session. Let me say that District 10 did as well. In fact, the coast did well. I guess not to toot my own horn, but it doesn't hurt to have a coastal representative being one of the 4 that's deciding which projects get funded. But all told, about $20 million coming to up and down the coast this session that is really going to make a big difference. I was catching my breath while Rep. Weber was talking and thought about a couple of real quick updates. 2 pieces of good news, 1 piece of bad news. Good news, you may have read that the Washington legislature came up with this harebrained scheme to tax the oil, gas, and diesel that they're sending to Oregon. And we just had a fit over that. And after a number of terse phone calls, the Washington legislature has backed off and decided they're not going to do that after all. That's a great relief that they're not taxing our gas for their roads. My goodness, if they have done that, I might have proposed that we start putting toll gates up on the Columbia River bridges, but only tax Washington cars. So that was one item. One other piece of good news for listeners in southern Tillamook County, a new bottle drop center is opening up at the Safeway in North Lincoln County. Bottle drop, of course, being a facility to take your recyclable bottles and cans in a clean, efficient, staffed facility. The best part about that for me is that you can just bring your bags in and drop them off, and if you have an account with your code on the bag, they will just take the whole bag and sort them for you. You can either use that money to put into your own account or into a charitable account and designate who your bottle money would go to. So I think that's a piece of good news. Third piece of good news, commissioners, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be doing a ribbon cutting pretty soon in Nescoin with the emergency egress that has just made remarkable progress. I had a chance to walk that a weekend ago, and I'm so pleased with the way that turned out. We'll be talking about that later. And then finally, a piece of bad news is a time change is coming. My God, are we all tired of changing clocks twice a year? The Oregon legislature voted to stop doing that. We wanted to do that in cooperation with Washington and California so that all the West Coast was on the same time. But we're still waiting for the federal government to sign off on it. So here we are changing our clocks once again. For gosh sakes, I hope it's going to be the very last time. So now I really will pause and see if the commission has any questions.
Thank you, Representative Gomberg. Do we have any questions for Suzanne Weber or David Gomberg?
This is Commissioner Scar, and I don't have a question. I just have a thank you. I'm very excited that House Bill 4123 for the coordinated homeless response went through and passed both sides. So I appreciate the support of everyone to make that happen. And in the coming months, we'll be working to put together a countywide coordinated homeless response. So thank you for your support.
And this is Commissioner Bell. I'd like to chime in and say how thrilled I am that the bill for Highway 6 passed, and that we're really going to take a serious look at that and work on improving safety on Highway 6. So that's just thrilling to me. And also, I'd just like to respond to what Representative Gomberg said about the emergency egress route in Nescoen is so exciting. It's so exciting that that's almost done, and we can't wait to have the ribbon cutting and see you there in person.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Bell. So, just a couple things from my end. We've been talking with our federal legislators a lot. One of the conversations I'm having, and I am actually testifying before the Oregon Transportation Commission on Thursday morning, Oregon got a tranche of $94 million for road infrastructure that went to ODOT. And the intent of that, of course, was to be spread out, at least in part, to local governments, cities and counties. ODOT has said publicly that, they have so many projects that the vast majority, well over 90% of that money, is going to be used by ODOT itself, and kind of goes against what Congress had intended for that money. So there are a few commissioners from across the state that are going to be testifying before the Oregon Transportation Committee tomorrow or Thursday, and asking for more of that money to be coming to local governments, especially places like Tillamook, where bridge work is extremely important, extremely expensive. We've got 3 or 4 now newly load-rated bridges in Tillamook County. A couple of those can't even accept fire trucks rolling across them. So this is very serious for Tillamook County. Transportation issues, especially bridge issues, are extremely important. So I'll be testifying on Thursday morning. Another thing we've been talking with our federal legislators about is the annual federal priorities list coming from the counties. So I know we're working on our ARPA list. We have a lot of projects that have requests that have come to the county for ARPA dollars. Unfortunately, we have very limited ARPA dollars, but the projects that we're not able to fund with ARPA, we're going to be going through a prioritization of those to see what might fit on our federal funding priorities list. As you well know, the top federal priority that we've had for at least a decade has been the South Jetty. And that was recently funded with $62 million from the federal government. So our number one priority is finally off the list, so we have room for additional priorities there. So there's just a lot going on in Tillamook County also. So again, to our Coastal Caucus members, we do appreciate so much everything that you've been doing, not only for Tillamook County, but for the coast and for Oregon as a whole. We do thank you so much for that. Any other questions or comments for the Coastal Caucus? Thank you so much for being here this morning. So let's move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center. Ed Colson. Ed, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Tillamook County. For our community update for today, we want to thank the partnership with Tillamook County Library because the iHealth COVID-19 rapid home test kits remain available for pickup in all Tillamook County Library branches. In addition, starting this week, every home in the U.S. will be able to order an additional set of 4 tests from the federal government. And you can order those on the website www.covidtest.gov. So for our county data, our weekend case count from March 3rd to March 6th was 8. Our 7-day case count from the 27th of February to March 5th was 14. Our 14-day case count from February 20th to March 5th was 47. Now our cases for March from the 1st to the 7th are 12. And so our total cases to date over 2 years throughout this pandemic here, March 2020 to March 7th, 2022, is 3,603. We've had a total of COVID-19 related deaths of 58. And a total COVID-19 related hospitalizations of 138. We have 2 reported outbreaks per OHA and 12 under monitoring for a total of 14. Now, our 7-day test positivity rate from OHA between February 20th and February 26th was 3.7%. Previous to that was 7.9%. Now, as of March 7th, our COVID-19 vaccine update of those aged 18 years and older living in Tillamook County, 80.4% have initiated their COVID-19 vaccination and have received at least 1 dose. 74.3% have completed their primary series, and then 44.6% have received an extra dose of a COVID-19 vaccine in addition to completing their series. Now, some news and updates. After 11:59 p.m. on March 11th, mask requirements in public indoor places and in K-12 schools in Oregon will be lifted. State policies do not change federal requirements, which still include continued masks on public transit, airplanes, airports, and in healthcare settings. Now, in addition, starting March 12th, 2022, quarantining will no longer be recommended for people within the general population who have been exposed to someone who has COVID-19, regardless of vaccination status. Now, quarantining is still recommended in high-risk settings, including healthcare settings, jails and prisons, and shelters. Now, isolation guidelines apply to people who have tested positive for COVID-19 or who have symptoms, and these are not changing. Individuals with COVID-19 are still recommended to stay at home for 5 days, then wear a mask for an additional 5 days when they are around other people. Schools will continue to exclude students from school for 5 days if they have symptoms or a known case of COVID-19. Now, the CDC has released a tool available publicly on the CDC's COVID-19 page to assess COVID-19 community risk levels using 3 criteria, and that's case rates, hospitalizations based on admissions, and the percent of hospital beds occupied by COVID-19 patients. Now, the CDC tool categorizes counties into low, medium, and high risk with recommended county prevention measures and strategies in each level. Now, OHA and the Governor's Office will release a resiliency and recovery framework soon to provide guidance for using this CDC risk level tool. More info to come. Now, our COVID-19 testing and vaccination update for where people can receive them. Due to decreased demand, the walk-in vaccine clinic at the fairgrounds has closed. COVID-19 testing and vaccines remain available from most healthcare offices in Tillamook County, including at our main clinic at 801 Pacific Avenue in Tillamook. Now, appointments are required for both testing and vaccination, so please give us a call, 503-842-3900 to schedule. And while COVID-19 vaccines are the best method of prevention, reducing disease spread and disease severity, if you do have a positive test, there are safe and early treatment options available for COVID-19, including antiviral oral medication. So some treatment options do need to be started as early as 5 days from the date of the positive test. So please contact your provider as soon as possible for treatment options. Now, if you don't have a healthcare provider, you can call Adventist Pharmacy at 503-815-2341 to speak to a pharmacist and consider establishing care with a healthcare provider as soon as possible. So more information on COVID-19 testing, treatment, care, and vaccines is available at our website, tillamookchc.org, or by calling 211. And if you have any COVID-19 related questions or need additional support, you can give us a call at our public health nurse line at 503-842-3940, and we'll return your call within 24 hours there. So that's our update, and we'll turn it back over to you, Commissioner Yamamoto.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions for Ed Colson? So, Ed, I do have a question, but I want to make a statement first. So it just appears to me that we are headed in the right direction. We're going to be relaxing mask mandates and things like that. But here's where an area where personal responsibility is now going to be much more important. The best way that you can protect yourself and your family from COVID-19 is to be fully vaccinated. So now that the standards are going to start to be released, maybe even as early as this weekend, it's even more important that you protect yourself and your family from the ravages of COVID-19. So personal responsibility is going to be even more important and we ask that you consider being fully vaccinated if you are not so at this point. I do have a question, however, Ed, about the CDC risk level tool, low, medium, and high. One of the factors that we cannot control, of course, is bed availability. And Oregon, of all 50 states, has one of the lowest hospital bed counts per capita in the nation. And I think it's even worse in Region 1, the region that we are in. Do you have any thoughts on that at all, on how we increase our hospital bed count, or how we make sure that we're not being unfairly penalized for just not having more hospital bed availability?
Yeah, in regards to that, I know that the CDC has issued this tool already, and that was one of the things that we are expecting more information on from OHA and the governor's office in regards to that risk and resiliency and recovery framework that's going to come out. I'm sure at the higher levels where Oregon Health Authority is thinking about this, that we should hopefully have more information as to what that might look like. And once we do, when it comes to the framework, we'll be able to post it on our website as well as do a community update on it. But as far as like with the bed availability and whether or not there's going to be any change statewide regarding that, I'd have to defer and wait till Oregon Health Authority gives us the information.
Understand. Just be aware that that is one of my concerns with this new risk level tool. So, Ed, appreciate you being here very much. Let's go to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson. Gail, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And thank you all for your updates. They're always very helpful. Here at the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy, we are also busy in preparation for the lifting of the mask mandate, working to let our patients in the community know that face masks will still be required here and at all other healthcare settings. As already reported, again, worth mentioning, we have hired our transportation driver, Ron, and have started offering patient transportation to those who have challenges getting to and from their healthcare appointments. We continue to distribute our allotment of COVID test kits and the N95 masks. And if you know of anyone who is homebound and needs these supplies, please let us know at 800-368-5182. Our pharmacy is open from 8 to 1 and 2 to 5 and closed for lunch. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us here at the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy with any questions or concerns that you may have, or if you just like to learn more about any of the changes related to COVID. Our staff can be reached at 800-368-5182. Thank you very much. That's my update for this morning.
Thank you, Gail, for being with us. Appreciate it so much. Let's move on to the Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Kenner-Williams. Frank, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Commissioner. Good morning. Frank Kenner-Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for residents. We can be reached at 503-842-8201 for information, concerns about appointments. Would like to remind people that the month of March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and that if gambling is a problem, if gambling is your problem, 3 of the top 3 warning signs that problem gambling is a problem. 1, spending more time gambling. 2, increasing the betting sizes that you are betting. And 3, withdrawal from friends and family. And should those issues or concerns be present, please know that treatment is available and treatment is free. And in addition, treatment is also free for family members and supports of the person who is challenged with issues around their gambling. Again, if you have questions about this and other behavioral health concerns, please free to give us a call at 842-8201. And if gambling specifically is an issue for you, the Oregon Problem Gambling Resource, OPGR, that is 877-695-4848. And I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you for that report, Frank. Any questions for Frank Hanna-Williams? Frank, as always, thank you for being here. Let's move on to the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Brown, are you with us this morning?
Good morning. I am here today.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're anxiously awaiting recommendations on congregate living to find out what extent we can open up our facility. I think I mentioned it in one of the last ones that we're one of the very few jails that have not had any type of an outbreak. We're very proud of that, and we want to continue that. We're trying to balance out public safety and making sure that people are held accountable. With the other side of it as making sure that we don't have an outbreak. We have a very good partner in Adventist Health who operates our medical wing, and so we've been anxiously awaiting that update. So I don't have an update as far as that's concerned. Everything else within our facility is running fairly close to normal. We probably are doing a few less public prints than what we could be doing, but programs, our front lobby, public prints, things like that are all open right now. For anybody who follows our Facebook page and or watches the news, they know we had a significant incident last week, Thursday evening. There was an officer-involved shooting. I will make clear that no Tillamook County deputies were involved in that other than backup or witnesses to the situation. It started as a pursuit in Lincoln County. Multiple agencies ranging from Lincoln City to Lincoln County, as well as Oregon State Police, were involved in that pursuit. The vehicle had been spiked and ultimately stopped in Tillamook County near milepost 94, which is roughly the Wainema waypoint. There was a subsequent standoff that lasted roughly 2.5 hours, and the suspect made multiple threats to harm himself or his victim, who was a female driver, made multiple statements that he had a bomb with him, as well as that he had a gun, etc. And after the 2.5-hour standoff, Oregon State Police SWAT team was forced to engage, and the suspect was pronounced deceased at the scene. After that engagement, the female victim, who was still in the car during the entirety of the standoff, was successfully rescued. Once that portion of it was complete, we had to wait quite some time, well over an hour, for Oregon State Police bomb squad to come in and make the vehicle safe from the suspected explosive device. And because Oregon State Police was involved and it was in Tillamook County, we were asked to take the lead on that officer-involved shooting investigation. So as it stands right now, it is a current investigation. The SWAT officers that were involved are they're on administrative leave, which is a standard protocol for pretty much any agency across the board while the investigation is happening. And it took quite some time. I believe the highway was shut down for close to 18 hours, I believe. A lot of people got frustrated by that, but we had to make sure that we were completing this investigation completely and properly, so that everything was as by the book that it needed to be. So it was a significant incident. We have not had an officer-involved shooting for a number of years in Tillamook County, and like I said, that it was on the news as well as on our Facebook page and reported on fairly heavily. So I'm sure most people are familiar with it. that is about the extent as to what I can say to that case, simply because it is still under investigation. Beyond that, we are still actively recruiting for all positions within our office. That's pro and probation, corrections, as well as patrol. We are still seeking volunteers for our search and rescue program. We've gotten some good momentum as far as some things we've done talking with high school students. We recently had an open house to be able to answer questions and kind of do some presentations. So we're still looking strongly at getting our volunteer recruitment up, and then taking the volunteers that we do have and getting them trained to where they can be certified through the state of Oregon as they are representatives of the sheriff's office. That is about all I have for this week. I can take any questions, and that's all.
Thank you, Sheriff Brown. Any questions for Sheriff Brown? So, Sheriff, I just need to tell you that you and your department do unbelievable work under extreme pressure. This chase out of Lincoln County and all, and the way it ended. I mean, it's just tough on you and all of your deputies, and of course Oregon State Patrol and the SWAT team and all. Just not something that you want to see happen, especially in Tillamook County. But again, for all of your work, for you and your department, we do appreciate it so much. We really do.
Yes, thank you for saying that. I agree. The team that we have here is, in my opinion, beyond comparison. It is amazing. I had a couple of detectives that were up literally all night long, staying on scene. I think I only got about 3.5 hours of sleep. The undersheriff got a couple hours of sleep, and it's just in that extraordinary situation. This amazing team out here really, did what they needed to do. They're amazing.
Again, thank you for that so much. We do appreciate it. So let's move on to emergency management. Randy Thorpe. Randy, are you with us this morning? So Randy, I see you online, but you are muted.
There we go. Thank you. I just was gazing out the window and looking at the sunshine and forgot about the unmute sign there. Was kind of excited that we've got a nice sunny day, it looks like, in front of us. Well, the news this week is we just was informed that the Spire grants are going to become available again through the state. And we've got 90 days in order to get our proposals in. So I'll be contacting with our cooperators to find out if any of the equipment that they've got listed for the 2022 grants will meet any of their needs, and we'll get those in so we can see if we can get some additional equipment here in the county. The other thing is I'm finishing up the Homeland Security grants this week. They're due 1st of April, so I need to get those done and then get them on the commission agenda over the next couple weeks so we can get those submitted. I did receive 2 proposals from the South Tillamook County Emergency Volunteer Corps. The first one was for some mobile high-frequency radio stations, which would enhance communications, basically county-wide during any type of a disaster. Marge also then sent in one for a disaster drill with their CERT teams, which would be in conjunction with the North County group, and they'd hold that at the fairgrounds. So hopefully we'll be able to get some grant funding for both of those options to help out our South Tillamook County people. So other than that, hopefully we'll have another quiet week as far as weather goes this week, but I'll turn the mic over to Gordon and let him forecast beautiful sunshine, no rain, no wind, and high temperatures in the low 70s.
Well, I'm not sure exactly when that might occur, but let's see what Gordon has to say. Gordon.
Randy has high hopes. Unfortunately, he's in Oregon now, and things are a little different. Well, just for him, we have another front diving down from the north that's up in Washington right now. the rain. But more significantly, there's some Arctic air behind that thing, so the temperatures will be dropping too. And in fact, there's a chance that you might see some low-level snow in the early morning hours with the temperature going down to about 32 tonight. So winter is still here if you weren't really sure. In fact, the Coast Range could maybe see up to a half an inch and up to an inch up in the higher elevations of the Coast Range. So, again, that modified Arctic air will be pushing down. That'll give us cold temperatures Wednesday night and Thursday, with the temperatures still in the low 30s at night. The good news, of course, is that Randy will have his wish and at least see some sunshine, but the 70s are out of the questions. The clouds do start returning Friday ahead of the next set of weather systems. The problem with this one is that the strong polar jet will set up again from the southwest to northeast, which is not good because that'll provide a pathway for several fronts to come across. And in fact, some of the models are suggesting that yet another atmospheric river event could develop. And although there's no hydrological concerns right now, it's still going to have to be watched because we just don't know how it'll set up and exactly where as I always put it, where the hose will be pointed. And 70 miles north or south for these events is kind of significant to the people that are under it, but that's just a drop for Mother Nature as far as the area that goes. On the positive side, though, with that southwesterly flow from the jet, the temperatures will be in the mid highs anyway. It'll be in the mid 50s and the lows in the low 40s. So all I can say is sorry, Randy, unless you have any questions. That is it. More rain.
Well, I knew you were going to say that, Gordon. I just did. Although Randy is very hopeful. He is. And we'll get there one day. We will. Okay, moving on. Board of Commissioners. I think Commissioner Scar has left us. Commissioner Scar, is that correct? You're not there? Let's go to Commissioner Mary Faith Bell. Commissioner.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the election this morning. There's an upcoming election, May of 2022, and I had the privilege of being in a candidates forum last Friday. The Tillamook County Republicans held a candidates forum at the Port of Tillamook Bay, and I just wanted to say thank you to the Tillamook County Republican Committee for putting on that forum. It was really good, and it was pleasant and interesting. I learned things. I met a candidate I had never met before, Joe Ray Perkins, who's a candidate for U.S. Senate, and Aubrey Olson was there. She's running for DA because our DA, Bill Porter, is not running for re-election. And so it was great to hear from Aubrey, and it was the first thing I had heard about her campaign. I thought that was fabulous. And Lanisha Duke was there, and she is running for House District 32 as an unaffiliated independent candidate, which was total surprise to me, and I think most people in the room. And so that was delightful. So, and I was there, and my opponent was there, and it was just really, it was a good event. It was a good way to kick off this campaign. So I called Tassie O'Neill, our county clerk, this morning and asked her if she would jump on and give us an election update. Today's the last day to file for this election. So if Tassie's on now, I think I'm going to turn my time over to her, and I think she's going to let us know who's filed to run.
Good morning, it's Tassie O'Neill, Tillamook County Clerk. And thank you, Mary Faith, for asking for me to do an update today on the election. We have the election is May 17th, 2022 for our primary election. We do have it today is the filing deadline for candidates. The deadline for measures, for local measures, was basically the first deadline is February 25th. And if folks have those items such as a ballot title turned into my office or a city that's publishing in a paper, they have to have it by the 25th. Then once that is done, then an SEL form needs to be filed with my office by March 7th. And that's a deadline also for the cities to get, cities, districts, and counties to get the final measures to my office, as well as when the Secretary of State's office will certify to me what would be on our Tillamook County ballot from them. So any state offices for candidates or measures that they would have, they certify on that date. So we still have some time before things are finalized for what will be on the ballot. At this time, ballot measures that I do have filed in the office is there was a countywide petition that had been filed, and folks got signatures to place Measure 29161 for a Tillamook County Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. 29-162 is the City of Bay City for a fire measure for money. 29-163 is the Tillamook Veterans 5-year levy. 29-164 is the renewal of the Tillamook County Library for the 5-year. 29-165 is for the Tillamook Bay Community College going out for a bond measure. And then we have what we'll have is the state candidates that have filed with the Secretary of State's office. You can go on their webpage at this time and see who is running. But there will be updates to that as today goes through to 5 o'clock. We do have, as Mary Faith indicated, we do have our district attorney position open for Tillamook County. And at this time, Aubrey Olson is the only one. I looked this morning on the website, but that could change today, as well as our Tillamook County Circuit Court position for the 27th, position 1. Jonathan R. Hill is running for the position, and he is in that position at this time. For the Tillamook County positions, we have the Tillamook County Commissioner, position number 3, which Mary Faith Bell holds now. She has refiled, as well as Graydon Halleck. We have the Tillamook County Treasurer that is up, and Sean Blanchard, who holds that position now, has filed as of today, and that's all that we have filed for those county positions. We also will have on the ballot this time precinct committee people for the Democrat and Republican Party. That deadline is all today by 5 o'clock in our office.
Cassie, are you still there? I think we may have lost Cassie. Okay, well, sorry. So, Commissioner Bell, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, all of a sudden things are very quiet, and my computer sort of flashed too, so I don't know exactly what's going on. Okay, so apparently we lost.
Cassie dropped out in mid-sentence. Sorry.
Yeah, and she did. Okay, so if she gets back on, we'll bring her back. Commissioner Bell, did you have anything else?
I think she might have shared with us some of the House District 32 candidates. I know that Logan Laity has filed to run. He's a local person, and so has Cyrus Javity. And for Senate District 16, Suzanne Weber has filed to run, and also a woman named Melissa Bush. So that's all the information I have on the election at this time. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So again, I sort of talked a little bit during the Coastal Caucus time, and I apologize for that. There's just so much going on, and just be aware that your commissioners are very aware of all the monies floating around out there from the federal government and from the state, although the state gets most of that money from the feds. I know there are those that think, why are you out there with a handout? Well, the way I look at it, and yeah, this is going to create a huge debt bubble for the government. They've always had a huge debt bubble, but that money is out there, and it's to be distributed. If Tillamook County were not to to gather in portions of that money, it's just going to go to somebody else. We do have so many worthwhile projects that we need to get done in Tillamook County. It just makes sense for us not to leave it on the table and it go to somewhere else, some other locality. We need to try to bring Tillamook County into I always say the 20th century, but we're well past that now. We need to bring Tillamook County into the 21st century, it's just going to help to float all boats in Oregon and especially in Tillamook County. One of the things I always talk about with our federal legislators is the fact that because we are a destination resort area in Oregon, being on the Oregon coast, our infrastructure has to be designed not for the 26,000 people that we have in Tillamook County, but our infrastructure has to be designed for our summer months, which are when our population can quadruple or quintuple or even more. Just think of the last very busy 4th of July holiday weekend we had. We need more sheriff's deputies. We need more water infrastructure. We need more sewer infrastructure. There's so much that we have to do in order to welcome our visitors during the summer months. So we're behind the curve. We are. We're getting there. But that's why these federal dollars are extremely important. One of my top priorities is, of course, broadband. And broadband is a project that will lift all boats. The best economic development tool anyone can have is true high-speed internet. So that's what we're after there. So with that, I'm just going to leave it there at this point. Any questions for any of the commissioners? Let's move on to the cities. Mike Scott, City of Manzanita, are you with us?
Yes, good morning. We're going to be holding our regular monthly city council meeting will be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And we're also going to be having a council workshop at 3 o'clock tomorrow when we're going to be talking about the future of short-term rentals here in Manzanita, and should be an interesting topic, and you can find the details on our agenda items on the city's website. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Thank you for being here. City of Nehalem.
David?
Yes.
This is Tassie.
Hey, Tassie.
Speaking of broadband, I got cut off, so I'm now calling in. Would you like me to finish my report?
That would be fine.
Okay, where did I leave off with you?
Well, so I think Commissioner Bell kind of finished the positions that were still open, so I'm not sure you talked about any of the representative positions.
Okay, yeah, I did not, I did not talk about the state filings that we had other than the local ones that we had. And I just wanted to mention that we did have redistricting within Tillamook County that was, we finished up in January, and we sent out voter notification cards to every active registered voter. That was to make sure that everyone knows that we are now, all of our county is in U.S. Congressional District 1, Senate District 16, and House District 32. That the voter notification cards were as a confirmation to let people know that, as well as confirm that they are at the address that they are registered to vote that we had on record, and also for people to confirm that their party was correct. As we go into this May 17th election, it is you will only receive, if you're a registered Democrat, you'll get a Democratic ballot with nonpartisan races as well. If you're a Republican, you'll get Republican and nonpartisan races. If you're registered as anything else, you would only get nonpartisan races. So if anyone wants to update their registration for the party, April 26th is the deadline for that. That is the last day to register to vote for new folks as well. Anyone who's active or inactive within the state of Oregon can update all the way through Election Day. And ballots will be mailed on April 27th for the regular ballots. And anyone can contact our office at any time if they have questions. You can email me directly or call our office at 503-842-3402. And with that, I'll leave it unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate your time very much.
Thank you.
Let's get back to the cities. City of Nehalem. Melissa Thompson-Kiefer, are you with us? How about the city of Wheeler? Doug Honeycutt. Rockaway Beach, Sue Wilson. How about Tim Hall from Garibaldi?
Hey, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have two things. I'd like to mention this morning. One, I'd like to thank Representative Weber for her efforts to gain funding for 2 non-construction projects. These are very much appreciated, especially after we missed the deadline for gaining funding for major water construction. Second, I'd like to tell everyone that the Garibaldi crab races are back. And I would like to invite everyone who's listening to the Lions Club 35th annual crab races this Saturday and Sunday, March 12th and 13th, at the Old Mill. And the address there is 210 South 3rd Street. Doors open at 11 a.m. and the races go till 5 p.m. There'll be food, prizes, beer, and races for both adults and children. Admission is $5 for adults, $2 for kids, and children under 5 are free. The races benefit the Lions Club, which provides sight and hearing services to low-income families in Tillamook County. And Garibaldi is proud this year to be a sponsor. So we hope to see you there. The Garibaldi crab races are a family-friendly event, and I think everyone who have missed these races over the last year or so will be back to root on those crabs. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. That's always a hoot. The crab races are terrific. They are. So how about David McCall, Bay City? City of Tillamook, Nathan George. Nathan.
Good morning, Commissioner. I do have a few things.
Morning.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I wanted to go over briefly on our agenda last night, the council meeting. At the work session, we had discussion on the sewer lateral ordinance, which is council looking at not only putting an ordinance back in place, a different ordinance, but to ensure that people are having inspections on sewer work at the point of sale, but also the city is engaged now in looking at where the responsibility should end. Currently, on sewer lateral lines, the responsibility for the property owner is from their home all the way to the connection point. So he's looking at having it just go to the property line. Also, we talked about the capacity on the east side of the city for our sewer, and we had our engineer in there who was there and able to show all of the patterns for the capacity, and we do not have any capacity on the east side of Miller Avenue to add anything, any kind of building that has plumbing or, well, any kind of plumbing. So that's a serious discussion that the council and the city staff are very concerned about, so we had some discussion on that. Also talked about our water districts. Several of the water districts have requested a rate moratorium or reduction, and as we study that, this council is considering that. So that is good. Although it would decrease revenues for the city, the good part, and the good is we're the community and we're working together to look at the bigger picture and try to figure out what's best for our community as a whole. Also, Fifth Street had a grant to have some asphalt restructuring and ADA ramps. The city is working on that. We're going to extend the deadline. We haven't had the staffing to get that done, but it also coincides well with the sewer lateral line warranty program, which will allow people to get those done before the street is resurfaced. So that'll be coming up by the end of next year at the latest, is what the plan is. Also, we, at the regular meeting, we had a discussion regarding the city recorder reporting structure. Before last night, the council approved it. Before last night, the city recorder reported directly to the council, and that was what has happened in our city. In most cities in Oregon, and even most of them, if not all of them, in Tillamook County, also the city recorder reports to the manager, not to the council. So we had discussion on that. Council's approved the city recorder reporting to city manager, which allows us to have a more streamlined structure. I had a very comprehensive report, as I always do. Goes over all the details of, not all the details, but many details of everything we're doing here. I always encourage everyone to go to the first meeting of the month, and you can pull up that manager operations report and learn a lot of information about what's going on in the city in all the different departments. We had several compliments from the council thanking the city for their work, which is really important to us. Second of all, just a reminder, all city utility customers should contact the city utilities, which is 503-842-2343. You don't have to remember that, just go on our website. If there is a need to have the water turned off or on due to an emergency, the city will arrange to have a technician dispatched in a timely manner as our workload allows. Please avoid tampering with the city's meter and shutoff valves, as it requires special tools to operate and can be damaged. So we'll also be sending out reminders and posting that on social media and our website, as well as in the billings. There is a sinkhole on the east side of Main Street between 6th Street and 7th Street that the property owner and ODOT repaired yesterday in the sidewalk and ODOT right-of-way. Please be aware and cautious in this area, as both the sidewalk and the parking area will be affected until the work is completed. Also, this is not a city project, but information update for our residents and visitors. The City Public Works Department will begin work on the 500 block of Grove Avenue, doing sewer main work starting today. This area is a dead-end road section of Grove Avenue on the south side of 5th Street. This work will begin today and will continue over the next couple of weeks. We ask the citizens in this area that they be careful, and the public just needs to exercise caution when going in and out of that work area. Public Works Department will be on site to expedite safe passage and maintain access to the properties. There is a sidewalk repair rebuild on 2nd Street between Main Avenue and Ivy Avenue. We ask everyone to be careful as this construction is underway. That is a project funded by the TURA, which is the Tillamook Urban Renewal Association. The Tillamook Police Department assisted the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office, which we heard a little bit from Sheriff Brown, and the Oregon State Police on a major crimes call out for an officer involved shooting late Thursday night of last week, as we heard about earlier. The TPD conducted ALICE, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, Evacuate on Friday morning for the Tillamook School District. And the TPD, Tillamook Police Department, also arrested a transient resident who went on a crime spree Friday and Saturday. That person's been lodged in the jail on a slew of charges. The police department has changed significantly, and one of those changes is to hold people accountable for actions citywide, which greatly helps our community remain safer and more secure. The second monthly council meeting in March will be canceled due to falling on spring break for the Tillamook School District number 9. The next regular meeting will be on Monday, April 4th, 2022, at 7 p.m. for the regular meeting, at 6 p.m. if we have a work session that day. And the Tillamook Urban Renewal Agency has a vacancy and encourages anyone interested to apply for the position by going to the city's website or calling the city's planning department. I know I've talked about this a lot, but a reminder, the Sewer Service Warranty Lines of America program to provide warranties to property owners for sewer, water, indoor plumbing. For under $10 per service per month, whether it be water line, sewer lateral line, or even indoor wall-to-wall plumbing, you can receive unlimited service and repair calls. Up to $8,500 for the water and sewer, and up to $3,000 per incident for the interior wall-to-wall service. So I just pulled up their website, and it is on. If you go to their website, which is slwofa.com, you can also go on our website and look. You can call us and look. You can hopefully you'll get a flyer in the mail if you haven't already. Also, it'll also be on your water bills. We have a little memo in there about it. I went on their website this morning, and the exterior water service line coverage for right now is $5.17 a month. And you get 10% off your first year, and it goes up to $5.75. That's an $8,500 value every single time you call. It's a 30-day waiting period to get on, and you can go. And the exterior sewer septic line coverage is $6.97 per month in our area right now, and then it goes up to $7.75 after 1 year. Again, that's $8,500 per call, unlimited service calls. And indoor plumbing, $9.99 per month, and that is up to $3,000. So that is all I have, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan, for being with us. Last but certainly not least, let's go to South County. Doug Olson. Doug, are you with us?
I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Just a couple of quick things. We are beginning to return to normal after almost 3 years here of 2 years for sure of difficult circumstances. You heard earlier this morning some talk about candidates and who's filing, and today's the closing day. We have scheduled through the Pacific City Nestucca Valley Chamber our annual Spring Candidates Forum, and that will be Thursday, April 7, 6:30 p.m. It runs probably till 8 o'clock or so at the Kiowanda Community Center in Pacific City. We'll have candidates for the State Senate, District 16, House District 32, the Commissioner, one position is open, also the District Attorney and the County Treasurer. We've also invited the money measure sponsors who will be on the ballot in South County. So we make an evening of it, and you get to meet one-on-one with the candidates. They get to say a few words and then take questions directly from the people who vote for them. So it's a wonderful exchange to get out and actually shake the hands and ask people and look them in the eye and ask them what they're going to do about one thing or another. The second part I would say is we're also returning to normal across the summer. And it looks like Clover's Day is a go. We've spoken with the people there, and they intend to pull it off with a parade and full-day activity. Dory Days planning is underway. We'll have a parade, likely the fish fry, display of dory boats. Craft fair is already sold out, so things are looking good for that. And then finally, fireworks on the 4th of July. The Chamber will sponsor the biggest ever, a $15,000 show. We've already sent in our deposit. We're on the books for July 4th, 10 p.m. In Pacific City, right on the beach. So everything is in place to make a return to normal, and thank goodness for that. So that's it for this morning. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that report very much. Okay, so time being 9:13 a.m., I do want to thank KTIL especially for broadcasting and everyone here for attending. And with that, we will adjourn this community call. Thank you, everyone.